This movie is frankly an aside. Doesn't have anything specifically to do with tracing images inside Illustrator, but it does have everything to do with managing your documents inside the program. Specifically, I'm going to show you how to change the size of the thumbnails here inside the Layers panel. So notice by default, I'm seeing these tiny little thumbnails, both for the contents of the layer and for the specific items inside the layer, provided that the layer is twirled open, as it is in my case. If you want to change the size of those thumbnails, go to the Layers panel flyout menu icon in the upper right-hand corner of the Layers panel, click on it, and choose the final command, Panel Options. Believe it or not, these very small thumbnails are what Illustrator says to be medium-sized thumbnails. If you don't want any thumbnails at all, you can go ahead and switch to small, which will just show the names of the layers and the objects and so forth, which might be very useful if you work with lots and lots of layers or objects inside your file. However, I'm kind of a visual guy, and I like to be able to see those thumbnails. So what I do is I bypass large, which really isn't that big, and I go ahead and select other. And I recommend, if you want to be able to see those things, that you work with 50 pixels or bigger. Now, for my part, I typically work at 70 pixels, generally speaking. But of course, you can adjust the value to taste. If you don't want to be able to twirl your layers open, you don't need to see the contents of your layers, you just want to see the layers themselves, then you can turn on this checkbox, Show Layers Only. That will not only turn off the thumbnails, that will make it so that you can't even twirl open the layer. I'll show you what I mean by clicking OK. And notice now I have this item Layer 1, which I'll go ahead and rename Butterfly. But I can't twirl it open, so I can't find the objects here. Again, not the way I like to work, but it's a matter of taste. I'm going to go ahead and click on that flyout menu icon again and choose Panel Options. And I'll turn Show Layers Only off. Notice down here, you also have the option of controlling what items get thumbnails. So you can decide whether you want to see the thumbnails associated with the layers. And you can create sublayers, as we'll see inside of Illustrator. And so if you turn on top level only, you won't see the thumbnails for the sublayers. Then groups are treated independently, so you can either see their thumbnails or not. And then objects, that is everything that's anything else, including these tracing objects here and path outlines and so forth. You can decide whether you see thumbnails for them or not. I'm going to leave those three checkboxes on and top level only off as by default. So I'll go ahead and click OK so I can once again see large thumbnails associated with both the layer and all the objects inside the layer. Now, something to bear in mind here is this is a document level setting. So in other words, when I go to save this file, it will save with these large layer previews. The next time I create a new file, it'll have small previews again. So this is not a global setting the way it is in, say, Photoshop and other programs. This is a document by document setting. And that, friends, is how you change the size of your layer previews here inside Illustrator.